So what change are you making on campus today?
Well, we're starting a series of changes. We'll be going to all distance learning classes, as you know, next Monday. We're going to close campus to outside visitors just to be safe, all in an effort to protect the health and safety of our students, faculty, and staff.
When you say all online classes, obviously you haven't had this magnitude of classes online before. That transition is this, you're going to have to add staff. What are you going to have to do to make that possible?
No, we haven't had this magnitude before, but next week is spring break, and it's not going to be much of a spring break for our faculty, sadly, because they're going to have to convert classes that are not, either if they're a flex class, that means they're probably half already online or distance learning, but the other classes will have to be converted. The real question comes in with lab requirements and things like that, but I know they're working on it.
How many classes, I mean, do we know how many classes this is total on campus?
I don't know, I don't know exact number, but it's all of them.
And when you say closed campus, obviously the students aren't coming on campus. Reporters, general public, people going to the Small Business Development Center, I mean, we're saying no one?
Pretty much right.
So you basically have to work here to be on campus?
Correct. Or be a contractor. So we're going to continue working on the residence halls, things like that.
By switching to online classes, is it your hope that by the end of the semester, students are still making the same progress toward a degree that they would have if they had been coming on campus?
Yeah, that's the idea. You know, we don't want to put students at any disadvantage. So really, if you read the release or the statement, it says till April 30th. So we're kind of taking it in chunks. We didn't go to the end of the semester. We'll have to make decisions probably by the middle of the month what we'll do with commencement, if we have it or we don't. And that has to do with, you know, how the whole COVID-19 virus response continues. We'll see where it goes.
Kids that can't get on campus or actually don't have the ability to get computers, are you going to be doing anything for them who have trouble with that?
Yes, that was a concern. Some students don't have access to computers or computer labs. So we have a lab, two labs are opening in the Mills Anderson Criminal Justice Center for people. So it'll be very close to the residence halls, which we are keeping open too. If students want to go home, they're welcome to do that. If they want to stay, then we'll accommodate them.
And how about things like tutoring kids that are having trouble or struggling at this point already, you know, are already most of the way through the semester? What do you do about that?
Yeah, those services are still here and still be available.
Okay.
Any concerns staff-wise? Is this going to mean adding any staff, cutting anywhere?
Well, the concern for staff is perhaps staff who have some sort of underlying medical condition that might make them susceptible to this disease. So we have encouraged them to stay home and to stay safe.
What about food service for those students that will be here that have no place else to go?
Right, food service will continue. Maybe in a little different, maybe sort of the holiday kind of, like we do through the holidays, maybe in a little less robust. No midnight meals, things like that. But we'll have food service for the students that stay here.
And what about sports? How's that going to work?
You know, the NCAA took that out of our hands. They canceled all winter and spring sports, and there will be no practice, no sports at all.
How about any special training for custodial and staff workers who like maintain the labs for the students who do come in to use those computers over in criminal justice? Any special requirements for them?
Yeah, well, we are doing that starting today. Getting the maintenance and custodial staff ready to do deep cleaning everywhere, all over campus, disinfecting everything. We don't think we have any problems because we don't have anyone that's sick, but we don't know. But we do know that if and when students come back to campus, we want it to be completely sanitized.
And how often are you guys going to be going through and doing that sanitization?
Yeah, I don't know the exact. It's going to be constant, basically, I think, until we get everything covered. And then the buildings are locked down, so once they're locked down, then that building is kind of secure.
Has anybody, students, staff, anyone associated with campus been tested for coronavirus?
Not that we're aware of. We don't know that anyone has been tested or come in contact with anyone at all. These are just advanced safety measures that we're taking to be sure that our students, faculty, and staff are safe.
And you're allowing kids to go home, so they can go home for the 30 days or whatever it is. When they come back, are you planning on testing? Some of these kids live in other countries or other cities, and whether it is a problem, are you planning on testing them when they come back?
If they're coming back from an affected area, yes. They'll be quarantined, actually, if you come back from an affected area. So that's been communicated also that if you travel voluntarily, even faculty or staff may go on spring break to some affected area, you'll have a 14-day quarantine.
And it's a self-regulated quarantine, or they can quarantine on campus?
It'll be self-regulated.
Yes, sir.
So obviously, we've heard the most about China, Iran, and Italy. Do you have any students from those three countries?
We do. We have some in Korea. We had a couple in Italy. I think they both come home by now, maybe weeks ago. I think a question I think that most universities, including us, really had not considered is, what if a student doesn't want to come home? They're more inclined to be afraid of being on an airplane with, someone who's infected. So we've made that really their choice. We sent an agreement to them that our legal team worked up that assures them that, we'd love to have you come home. We're encouraging you to come home, but if you stay, it's your choice.
What about the actual availability of test kits? Does Missouri Southern have those at our health center, or would we rely on the city of Joplin or local hospitals for
We
that?
don't have one. There'll be local hospitals and maybe the health center, the county health.
And what kind of communication has the university had with like the local health department and health officials?
And we've been talking to those folks for weeks. We're doing everything we can to stay on top of this with state, federal, and local health officials.
Obviously, you've had a task force in place. How long has that been in operation? What kind of changes, if any, has it made?
Well, that's a good. This has come on so rapidly that the task force was only assigned about 2 weeks ago. But then these changes happened very, very rapidly. So the task force stayed on top of everything and kept track of other universities, what they were doing, and the best advice we could get from Centers for Disease Control. And yesterday we decided to get together and gather all that information, and we needed to make some moves.
Do you know if other Missouri universities or PSU are planning the same kind of shutdown?
I can't speak to any of the local universities. I don't know what they're doing. I know that Washington University was probably the first that led maybe a week and a half ago in shutting down. Some universities back east have closed their dormitories and closed the residence halls, which causes some real problems for students who have no place to go. So we determined that was probably not the right approach for us. But I'm not aware of every move in the state, but I know that every university is looking at this very seriously.
As you're following the guidelines set forth by the CDC, are you planning a possibility of it clearing up in 2 weeks and then bringing the kids back earlier, or are you going to stick with a guideline of 30?
No, potentially it could. I mean, that's why we went with the kind of incremental approach. I mean, we have plans in place where, there's fuses to light as if things get worse. But also if things, for some reason, can clear up, then we can bring them back, have commencement, and move on as normal.
At a time like this, a lot of students and maybe their parents have questions. Do you have a system in place, so a contact on campus, or if they,
Yeah, we did. We have a couple contacts, one for student, one for faculty, staff, and parent questions. But most of that will run through student affairs.
Do you have extra toilet paper on campus, and can you give some to us, or is that something that belongs to you forever? I wasn't too sure.
I think the toilet paper will be a fundraising.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
How about events here on campus? I know that we had planned to host the Two Friends and Junk.
Yeah.
I think that's been postponed.
Yeah, those have been postponed.
Chamber of Commerce banquet with the Golden
Well,
Apple
that's one we're going to
Awards.
talk to Toby about. It's that's why we said the end of the month, because that's exactly where that happens, and we haven't made a full decision on that yet. We're going to work with the chamber to see what they feel is the right thing to do.
Leggett and Platt is such a big event center.
It is, and you got to wonder about bringing that many people together in one place.
Yeah.
How many students are currently enrolled?
Currently, we were counting the other day, students, faculty, staff, and people. We have about over 6,000 people on campus every day. But when you think about the other events that we host, conferences and speaking events, it may be 10,000 some days. Sporting events, so that's what should drive really the thinking, I think, of university officials around the area. Because, as I've heard it said before, a college campus can be a petri dish for these kind of viruses. And what we really don't want to do is see it mutate at all or change, and we don't want to encourage that at all. So that fed into our thinking.
That's it, thank you.
All good?
Good, thank you, sir.
No, thank you.